They circled her like vultures around dying prey, but Vera had learned long ago that being invisible was the only way to survive, until the scent of pine and winter storm rolled through the gathering, and every wolf in the pack dropped to their knees, except her. The rejection circle felt smaller each time. Vera stood in the center of the gathering clearing, her hands trembling at her sides as 300 pairs of eyes bore into her. The autumn air bit at her skin, but it was nothing compared to the cold spreading through her chest. I, Marcus Thornwood, reject you, Vera Ashford, as my mate. The words still echoed in her ears, though Marcus had spoken them 5 minutes ago. 5 minutes that felt like 5 hours. He stood at the edge of the circle now, arms crossed, jaw set in that self-righteous way that made her stomach turn. You're too weak. His voice had carried across the clearing, loud enough for everyone to hear. Loud enough to make sure her humiliation was complete. Too broken. Too Omega. Too Omega. As if being Omega was something she'd chosen. As if the rank that had been branded into her soul since her first shift was a personal failing. Vera kept her eyes down, staring at the trampled grass beneath her feet. She'd learned not to look up. Not to meet anyone's gaze. Invisible, that was the key to survival in the Ashford pack. 3 rejections. Someone whispered from the crowd, not even bothering to lower their voice. That's got to be a record. Her parents must be mortified. What did they expect? She can barely shift. The whispers grew louder, feeding off each other like kindling catching fire. Vera felt each word like a physical blow, but she didn't move. Didn't flinch. She'd had years to perfect this, the art of standing perfectly still while the world tore her apart. Alpha Gregor stepped forward, his heavy boots thudding against the earth. The rejection is witnessed and accepted. His voice boomed across the gathering. Vera Ashford, you may go. Dismissed. Like always. Vera turned, ready to slink away to the servants' quarters where she belonged, when a ripple went through the crowd. The whispers died instantly, replaced by something that felt like electric anticipation. He's here, someone breathed. The Alpha King. Dragon Blackthorn. The name alone made wolves straighten their spines. Vera froze, her heart suddenly hammering against her ribs. The Alpha King never came to small pack gatherings like this. Never. These events were beneath him, monthly rituals where lower and mid-ranking packs tried to forge alliances through matings. But the scent rolling through the clearing now was unmistakable. Pine and winter storm. Wild darkness and barely controlled power. It hit Vera like a physical force, making her knees weak. The crowd parted. He walked through them like a predator moving through tall grass, and every single wolf in the clearing dropped to their knees. Every single one. Except Vera. She couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't look away. Dragon Blackthorn was nothing like she'd imagined. The stories painted him as a monster, brutal, cold, merciless. And maybe he was all those things. But standing there in the dying light, he looked like something carved from shadow and moonlight. Tall, broad-shouldered, with hair as black as midnight and eyes that glowed amber even in human form. Those eyes swept across the clearing, cataloging, assessing. And then they landed on her. The world tilted. For one heartbeat, two, they stared at each other. His expression didn't change, but something flickered in those amber depths. Something that made her wolf, her broken, silent wolf, stir for the first time in years. Down. Alpha Gregor hissed at her, his face red with fury. Get down, you stupid girl. The spell broke. Vera dropped to her knees so fast she bit her tongue, tasting copper. Her whole body shook now, adrenaline and terror flooding her system. What had she done? You didn't make eye contact with the Alpha King. You didn't even look in his direction. And she'd stood there, staring at him like a fool while the entire pack knelt. Alpha King. Gregor's voice had taken on a sickly sweet quality. We are honored by your presence. We did not expect. I go where I please. Dragon's voice was rough, like gravel and silk somehow combined. It did things to Vera's insides that she didn't want to examine. Continue your gathering. He moved past, heading toward the Alpha's lodge, and Vera felt like she could breathe again. She kept her head down, her heart still racing, as the pack slowly rose to their feet. Get out of here, Gregor snarled at her. Before you embarrass this pack further. Vera didn't need to be told twice. She scrambled up and fled, heading for the woods that bordered the clearing. Her cabin, more of a shack, really, sat at the very edge of pack territory, where no one had to see her or think about her. The trees closed around her, and she finally let herself run. Not shifting, she never shifted if she could help it, but running on human legs, her breath coming in ragged gasps. 3 rejections. 3 public humiliations. And now she'd made a fool of herself in front of the Alpha King himself. You should have looked away, she told herself. You should have. Mate. Vera stumbled, nearly falling over a root. The word had come from inside her head, but it wasn't her own thought. It was her wolf's voice. Her wolf, who hadn't spoken to her in years. Not since that night. Not since everything changed. No, Vera thought desperately. That's not possible. Mate, her wolf insisted, stronger now. Mate. Mate. Stop it, Vera whispered out loud, pressing her hands to her temples. Just stop. But her wolf was awakening fully for the first time since her 16th birthday, and Vera felt it like a surge of power through her veins. It should have been terrifying, it was terrifying. But it also felt right in a way nothing had felt right for years. She reached her cabin and collapsed against the door, sliding down to sit on the rough wooden steps. The moon was rising now, huge and silver, and somewhere in the distance, she heard the gathering continuing. Music and laughter. The sounds of a pack celebrating. She didn't belong there. Had never belonged there. Voices drifted through the trees. Male voices, low and urgent. Vera tensed, pressing herself against the cabin wall, making herself small. Can't find out. That was Marcus, she'd recognize his arrogant drawl anywhere. If the king discovers her bloodline. He won't. The second voice belonged to Beta Colton, Gregor's right hand. No one knows except us. Her parents made sure of that. Her first shift was hidden. The records were altered. As far as anyone knows, she's just a weak Omega who can barely hold her wolf form. Nothing special. Nothing worth his attention. Silence. Then Marcus spoke again, and his voice had taken on a dark edge. What do we do if he notices her? He won't. Why would he? She's nobody. Just another broken Omega. Their footsteps faded away, heading back toward the gathering. Vera sat frozen, her mind racing. Her bloodline. The records were altered. What did that mean? What had her parents hidden? She thought back to her first shift, that night 8 years ago when everything had gone wrong. Or had it gone wrong? She remembered pain, remembered her bones breaking and reforming, remembered screaming. And then nothing. Just darkness. When she'd woken up 3 days later, her parents had looked at her with fear in their eyes. Fear and something else. Disgust? Shame? They'd never talked about it. Never explained why her wolf had failed to present properly, why she could barely shift now, why she become the pack scapegoat overnight. Mate, her wolf whispered again, and this time the word was accompanied by an image, amber eyes in a shadowed face. No, Vera said firmly. Absolutely not. But deep down, in a place she didn't want to acknowledge, she knew it was true. Knew it with a certainty that terrified her. The Alpha King was her mate. And whatever her bloodline was, whatever secret her parents and the pack had been hiding for 8 years, someone was willing to do anything to keep it buried. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 2. The summons came at dawn. Vera heard the commotion from her cabin, boots on dirt, raised voices, the sound of the entire pack being roused from sleep. She sat up on her thin mattress, her heart already racing. Something was wrong. Something was very, very wrong. Her wolf paced inside her mind, restless and alert in a way she hadn't been in years. Mate. Mate is calling. Stop, Vera whispered, wrapping her arms around herself. She was still wearing yesterday's clothes, hadn't even bothered to undress before collapsing into exhausted sleep. Please, just stop. But her wolf wouldn't stop. Couldn't stop. Whatever had awakened inside Vera last night when she'd locked eyes with the Alpha King, it wasn't going back to sleep. A fist pounded on her door, making her jump. Vera. Her father's voice, sharp with panic. Open this door. Now. She stumbled to the door, fumbling with the lock. The moment it opened, her father grabbed her arm and yanked her outside. Her mother stood behind him, her face pale in the early morning light. What's happening? Vera asked, but they were already dragging her away from the cabin, into the woods. Be quiet, her father hissed. Don't make a sound. They moved through the trees with purpose, taking a path Vera didn't recognize. Her mother kept looking over her shoulder, her hands shaking. Where are we going? I said be quiet. Her father's grip tightened, hard enough to bruise. They reached an old root cellar, half hidden by overgrowth. Vera's stomach dropped. No. No, you can't. Get in. Her mother's voice cracked. Please, Vera. Just get in and stay quiet. Why? What's going on? Her father practically threw her toward the cellar entrance. The Alpha King is demanding to see every unmated female in the pack. Every single one. Vera's wolf surged forward, making her eyes flash. Yes. Yes, we go to mate. No, her father said, as if he could sense her wolf's excitement. You stay hidden. You stay here and you don't make a sound, do you understand me? But if he's demanding, you are not going before him. Her mother grabbed Vera's shoulders, her fingers digging in. For the first time in 8 years, Vera saw real emotion in her mother's eyes. Fear. Raw, desperate fear. Do you understand what you are? What you could become if he realizes? Sarah. Her father cut her off. That's enough. She needs to know. She needs to hide. He turned back to Vera, and his expression was harder than she'd ever seen it. Get in the cellar. Stay there until we come for you. If you make a single sound, if you try to leave, you'll destroy everything. You'll destroy this entire pack. They shoved her into the darkness before she could protest. The door slammed shut, and she heard the heavy slide of a bolt being thrown. Vera stood in the pitch black, her breath coming in short gasps. The cellar smelled of earth and rot and something else, old magic, maybe. Something that made her skin crawl. Let us out, her wolf demanded. Mate is calling. Can't you feel it? She could feel it. That was the problem. Even locked in this dark hole, she could feel him like a compass pointing north. Her whole body pulled toward him, every cell singing with recognition. But her parents' fear had been real. Whatever they were hiding, whatever she was, it was worth locking their own daughter in a cellar to keep it secret. Above ground, she heard footsteps. Many footsteps. The pack was gathering. Then she heard the voice. His voice. I will see them. All of them. Dragon's command rolled across the territory like thunder. Every unmated female between the ages of 18 and 30. Now. Even through the earth and wood, Vera felt the power in those words. Felt it sink into her bones like a hook pulling at her soul. Your Majesty, Alpha Gregor's voice, obsequious and nervous. They are all here. Every one. You're lying. Silence. Terrible, suffocating silence. I can smell her. Dragon's voice dropped to something dark and dangerous. She's here. Somewhere on this territory. And you're hiding her from me. Vera pressed her hands over her mouth to keep from making a sound. Her wolf was going wild now, throwing herself against Vera's mental barriers, desperate to get to him. Your Majesty, I assure you. Don't. The word cracked like a whip. Don't lie to me again. I am trying very hard to be civilized about this, but my wolf is demanding blood. Your blood, specifically, for trying to keep my mate from me. His mate. He'd said it out loud. To the whole pack. Vera heard gasps, shocked whispers. There must be some mistake, Gregor said quickly. Perhaps you're sensing one of our mated females, or... There is no mistake. Dragon's footsteps, slow and deliberate, moving across the ground above her. She is here. She is unmated. And you are hiding her. Your Majesty, please. Enough. The word exploded with power, alpha command times 1,000. It wasn't a request. It wasn't even an order. It was a compulsion that reached down into every wolf's soul and yanked them into submission. Vera felt it like a physical blow. Her wolf howled in response, surging forward with enough force to make Vera's body shift involuntarily, just her eyes, flashing gold in the darkness, and her nails lengthening into claws. Above her, she heard something that sounded like a stampede. Every wolf on the territory, being pulled toward the gathering by sheer force of will. The cellar door rattled. No, Vera whispered. No, no, no. But the bolt was sliding back on its own, groaning against the wood. The door swung open, flooding the cellar with morning light. Vera looked up, squinting against the brightness. At the top of the stairs, she could see her father's boots. He was standing perfectly still, like a statue. Come out. Dragon's voice, not loud, but absolutely certain. Now. Vera's body moved on its own. She climbed the stairs on shaking legs, her wolf pushing her forward even as her human mind screamed at her to run. She emerged from the cellar covered in dirt, her hair tangled, her clothes filthy. The entire pack stood in the main clearing, 300 wolves all frozen in place by the king's command. And at the center of it all stood Dragon Blackthorn. His eyes locked on her immediately. The pack gasped. Vera heard her mother make a sound like a wounded animal. Dragon moved. He crossed the clearing in long strides, pushing through the presented females in their pretty dresses without even glancing at them. Beautiful wolves, strong wolves, worthy wolves, he walked past all of them like they didn't exist. He stopped directly in front of Vera. Up close, he was devastating. Tall enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. Broad-shouldered and powerful, with that midnight hair and those burning amber eyes. He wore black, all black, and he radiated danger like other people radiated warmth. You, he said softly. Just that one word, but it held everything, recognition, relief, possessiveness. Vera couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. Dragon turned to face the pack, keeping himself between Vera and them. This is my mate. His voice rang out clear and absolute. Your future queen. The silence that followed was deafening. Then Alpha Gregor stepped forward, his face pale. Your Majesty, surely there's been a mistake. This is Vera Ashford. She's been rejected 3 times. She's weak, possibly, troubled. The pack has concerns about her mental state. Dragon's expression didn't change, but the temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. Are you suggesting my mate is insane? I'm suggesting she's not suitable. For you. For the throne. And I'm telling you, Dragon's power rolled out like a physical wave, making wolves whimper and drop their eyes. That I don't care what you think. She is mine. She is coming with me. And if anyone in this pack has a problem with that, they can take it up with my wolf. Vera found her voice finally, though it came out as barely a whisper. This can't be real. Dragon looked down at her, and for a moment, his expression softened. Just slightly. It's real. But I've been rejected. 3 times. I'm broken, You are mine. He reached out slowly, carefully, like he was approaching a frightened animal. His hand cupped her cheek, and the touch sent electricity through her entire body. Those fools were too blind to see what you are. I am not. Vera's wolf sang. Actually sang with joy, making tears spring to Vera's eyes. But her human mind couldn't accept it. Wouldn't accept it. This was the Alpha King. The most powerful wolf in the continent. Why would he want her? Damaged, rejected, hidden away her? It had to be a mistake. Or worse, a cruel joke. A game powerful wolves played with broken ones. I don't understand, she whispered. You will. Dragon's thumb traced her cheekbone, wiping away a smudge of dirt. I'm going to give you a choice, Vera. Come with me willingly to the royal pack. Be my mate, my queen. Or, his jaw tightened. I'll invoke ancient right and claim you anyway. But I'd rather you came willingly. The pack erupted in whispers. Ancient right. The old law that said an Alpha King could claim his true mate regardless of her wishes, her pack, her status. It hadn't been invoked in over a century. You're giving her a choice. Beta Colton sounded shocked. Your Majesty, you don't need her permission. Ancient right. I know what ancient right allows me to do. Dragon's voice could have cut glass. I also know what it is to have no choice. I won't do that to my mate if I can avoid it. Vera stared at him. This didn't make sense. None of this made sense. The Alpha King was supposed to be brutal, cold, merciless. But he was standing here offering her a choice, touching her like she was something precious instead of something broken. Why? The word escaped before she could stop it. Why me? Because you're mine. He said it like it was the simplest thing in the world. My wolf knew it the moment I saw you. And now that I've found you, I'm not letting you go. Vera opened her mouth to respond, though she had no idea what she was going to say, when movement caught her eye. Marcus stepped forward from the crowd. No. Oh no. Your Majesty. Marcus bowed, but there was something calculating in his expression. I'm afraid there's a complication. Dragon's hand dropped from Vera's face. When he turned to look at Marcus, his eyes were pure gold. Speak. I have a prior claim on Vera Ashford. The lie was so bold, so audacious, that for a moment no one reacted. Then the whispers started again, louder now. You rejected her, someone called out. Yesterday. We all saw it. Marcus smiled, and it was a serpent's smile. I said the words, yes. But I never completed the ritual. Never sealed it with blood. By ancient law, the rejection doesn't take effect until the blood ritual is performed at the next full moon. He looked directly at Vera. Which means technically, she's still bound to me. Still mine. It was complete nonsense. Everyone knew it. Rejection didn't work that way. But Marcus was invoking ancient law, the kind of law that was so old and convoluted that it could be interpreted a dozen different ways. That's not, Vera started, but Dragon held up a hand. You're claiming she's yours. His voice was flat. Emotionless. But Vera could feel the rage radiating off him in waves. By ancient law, yes. Marcus inclined his head. And by that same law, if you wish to challenge my claim, you'll have to face me in combat. Traditional challenge. To the death. The pack went silent. Death matches were rare, brutal things. Most wolves avoided them at all costs. But Marcus was smiling like he'd already won. He was mid-ranking, yes, but he was a warrior. Trained in combat. And while the Alpha King was powerful, he'd been ruling from a throne for years, getting soft, or so the rumors said. Marcus thought he could win. Dragon stared at him for a long moment. Then he started to laugh. It wasn't a pleasant sound. It was dark and cold and full of promise. You think you can beat me? Not a question. A statement. You think because you wave around some ancient law and throw out a challenge, you have a chance. Marcus's smile faltered slightly. Ancient law is clear. Ancient law. Dragon took a step forward, and Marcus actually backed up. Fine. I accept your challenge, Marcus Thornwood. Sunset tonight. Traditional rules. His eyes flashed pure gold, and his voice dropped to a growl that made Vera's knees weak. And when I kill you, it will be slowly. Painfully. Because you dared to claim my mate. Because you dared to touch what's mine. The last word came out as almost a snarl. Vera felt her wolf respond to it, felt the mate bond pulling tighter between them. Marcus had gone pale, but he'd backed himself into a corner now. Sunset, he agreed. I'll be ready. You'll be dead. Dragon turned back to Vera, and his expression shifted instantly from murderous rage to something almost tender. Stay close to me today. Don't let anyone separate us. Can you do that? Vera nodded mutely. Good. He pulled her against his side, one arm wrapping around her waist. The touch should have felt possessive, dominating. Instead, it felt safe. Protected. This is insane, she whispered. Yes, he agreed. But you're mine, Vera. And I protect what's mine. No matter what. As they walked through the parted crowd toward the Alpha's lodge, Vera caught sight of her parents. Her mother was crying silently. Her father looked like he'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. And Beta Colton was watching her with an expression that made her blood run cold. Like she was a problem that needed to be eliminated. Whatever secret they'd been hiding, whatever her bloodline was, it was about to come out. Because the Alpha King had claimed her in front of everyone, and there was no hiding anymore. Vera's wolf was ecstatic, practically purring at the feeling of their mate's arm around them. But Vera's human mind couldn't shake the fear. Marcus was going to die tonight. Because of her. And after that, she'd be queen. The thought was so absurd she almost laughed. Her. Queen. The Omega nobody wanted. Dragon's arm tightened around her, like he could sense her spiraling thoughts. Breathe, he murmured. Just breathe. I've got you. And despite everything, the fear, the confusion, the absolute insanity of the situation, Vera believed him. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 3. The challenge circle was drawn in ash and salt, the old way. Vera stood outside it, flanked by two of Dragon's guards who'd appeared out of nowhere. Royal guards, she realized. He hadn't come alone after all. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of blood and fire. Fitting, she thought distantly. Everything about this day had been violent and surreal. Marcus stood on one side of the circle, stripped to the waist, his muscles gleaming with oil. He'd spent the afternoon preparing, training, psyching himself up. He looked confident. Ready. Dragon stood on the opposite side, still fully clothed in black. He hadn't prepared at all. Hadn't even changed clothes. He looked bored. The challenge is witnessed, Alpha Gregor announced, his voice carrying across the gathered pack. Traditional rules apply. The fight continues until one opponent yields, flees the circle, or dies. He paused. May the strongest wolf claim victory. Marcus shifted immediately, a smooth, practiced transformation that had the pack murmuring in appreciation. His wolf was big, russet-colored, with intelligent eyes and sharp teeth. A warrior's wolf. Dragon didn't shift. He just stood there, watching Marcus circle him with an expression of mild interest. Shift. Marcus snarled, his wolf's voice distorted and growling. Fight me properly. No, Dragon said calmly. I don't think I will. Then he moved. Vera had never seen anything like it. One moment he was standing still, the next he was simply there, inside Marcus's guard, one hand wrapped around the wolf's throat. He lifted Marcus off the ground like he weighed nothing, like his wolf form was a puppy instead of 200 pounds of muscle and fury. Marcus thrashed, claws raking at Dragon's arm. Drew blood. Dragon didn't even flinch. You claimed my mate, Dragon said conversationally, like he was discussing the weather. You touched her. Put your hands on her. Rejected her in front of the pack. His grip tightened, and Marcus made a choking sound. Give me one reason I shouldn't tear your throat out right now. Marcus couldn't answer. Could barely breathe. The pack was silent. Watching. Waiting. Dragon's eyes flashed gold, and for a moment, Vera saw his wolf right there beneath the surface. Enormous. Ancient. Absolutely lethal. Not just an alpha, something more. Something that made her own wolf whimper and bow in submission. Please. The word was out before Vera could stop it. Quiet. Desperate. Dragon's head turned toward her, those gold eyes locking on hers. What did you say? Please don't kill him. The words tumbled out in a rush. He's not worth it. He's stupid and cruel, but he's not worth you having his blood on your hands. Please. Silence. Long, terrible silence. Then Dragon smiled. It was a dark, dangerous expression. You're asking me to show mercy. To the wolf who rejected you. Who called you weak and broken in front of everyone. Yes. Why? Vera didn't have a good answer. Didn't know why she was pleading for Marcus's worthless life. Maybe because she'd seen enough death. Enough cruelty. Or maybe because she was testing whether the Alpha King would actually listen to her, whether her voice mattered at all. Because I'm asking you to, she said finally. Because if you're going to be my mate, I need to know that my words matter. That when I ask you for something, you'll at least consider it. Something shifted in Dragon's expression. The rage bled out of it, replaced by something softer. Something almost like respect. He looked back at Marcus. You're lucky, he said quietly. Lucky that my mate has a kinder heart than you deserve. Then he threw Marcus, just threw him like a rag doll across the circle. The wolf hit the ground hard, skidding through the dirt, leaving a trail of blood. If you ever look at her again, Dragon said, his voice carrying across the clearing, if you ever speak to her, speak about her, or come within 50 feet of her, I will finish this. And I won't be merciful. Are we clear? Marcus shifted back to human form, naked and bleeding and gasping for air. Clear, he choked out. Dragon stepped out of the circle. The challenge was over. He'd won without even shifting, without breaking a sweat. The pack stared at him like he was something out of a nightmare. He walked directly to Vera, ignoring everyone else. Thank you, he said softly. For what? For asking. For giving me a reason to be something other than the monster they think I am. He touched her cheek again, that same gentle gesture. You have 1 hour to gather your belongings. Then we leave. 1 hour. To pack up a life she'd never really had. Vera nodded mutely. The cabin felt smaller than ever. Vera stood in the middle of it, looking at her meager possessions. 2 changes of clothes. A hairbrush with missing bristles. A book, just one, a battered copy of fairy tales her grandmother had given her before she died. That was it. 24 years of life, and this was all she had to show for it. She heard footsteps on the porch. Tensed. But it wasn't Dragon or his guards. Vera. Her mother's voice, cracked and hoarse. Vera turned. Her mother stood in the doorway, looking older than Vera had ever seen her. Her face was haggard, her eyes red from crying. What do you want? To talk to you. Before you leave. Before. Her mother's voice broke. Before it's too late. Too late for what? Too late to pretend you care. Too late to explain why you locked me in a cellar this morning. Too late to tell you the truth. Her mother stepped inside, closing the door behind her. About what you are. What we did to you. Vera's wolf stirred, suddenly alert. What are you talking about? Her mother sat down heavily on the single chair, her hands shaking. You're not just Omega, Vera. You never were. You're a hybrid bloodline. Part Royal Alpha. The words didn't make sense. Couldn't make sense. That's impossible. Royal bloodlines don't mix with. Your father isn't who you think he is. Her mother's voice was barely a whisper. Your real father was royal. A cousin to the Alpha King's line. He came through here 25 years ago, and we. She closed her eyes. It was one night. One mistake. And 9 months later, you were born. Vera felt like the floor was tilting beneath her feet. You're lying. I wish I was. Her mother looked up, and there were tears streaming down her face. When you were born, your eyes, they glowed silver and gold, Vera. Royal hybrid colors. We knew what you were immediately. And we knew what would happen if anyone found out. What would happen? The culling. Her mother said the words like a curse. They're a dark organization. Fanatics who believe mixed bloodlines will destroy pack hierarchy. They hunt hybrid she-wolves, especially royal hybrids. They kill them. And anyone who tries to protect them. Vera's hands clenched into fists. So you, what? You did what? We went to the pack switch. Paid her everything we had to suppress your bloodline. To lock away your royal wolf and make you appear Omega. Her mother stood, moving toward Vera with her hands outstretched. We did it to protect you. To keep you safe. We kept you weak, kept you rejected, kept you hidden so the culling would never notice you. You destroyed my life. Vera's voice was shaking. You let the pack treat me like garbage. Let me be rejected over and over. Let me think I was broken and worthless and to keep you alive. Her mother grabbed Vera's shoulders. Don't you understand? If your real wolf had emerged, if anyone had seen what you truly are, you'd be dead. The culling doesn't negotiate. They don't show mercy. They would have burned you alive and slaughtered everyone who tried to stop them. Vera jerked away. So instead you burned my life away piece by piece. That was your solution? It was the only solution. And it worked, Vera. It kept you safe for 24 years. But now. Her mother's expression crumbled. Now the Alpha King has claimed you. Now everyone's going to be watching you. And when your real bloodline emerges, and it will emerge now that you've met your true mate, the culling will come. They'll come for you, and they'll come for him, and they'll burn everything to the ground. The door burst open. Alpha Gregor stood there, with Beta Colton beside him. Both men looked furious. Sarah, Gregor said coldly. What did you just tell her? Vera's mother went pale. Nothing. We were just saying goodbye. Don't lie to me. Gregor stepped inside, and the temperature seemed to drop. I heard you. Every word. You told her about the bloodline. About what we did. She deserved to know. She deserved to stay ignorant and safe. Gregor snarled. But you couldn't keep your mouth shut, could you? You had to unburden your guilty conscience. He looked at Colton. The secret's out. She knows. Which means she's a liability. No. Vera's mother backed up, her eyes wide. No, please. She won't tell anyone. She's going to be queen, Colton said flatly. Which means she'll have resources. Power. She'll dig into her past, and she'll uncover everything. The spell. The suppression. The money we paid. All of it. Then we tell the king, Vera said quickly, her heart hammering. We explain. He'll understand. The king can't know. Gregor pulled a knife from his belt. A silver blade, etched with runes. No one can know. It's too dangerous. For the pack. For all of us. Vera's mother screamed, "Run!" But it was too late. Gregor moved with alpha speed, crossing the cabin in a blur. The silver blade flashed. And buried itself in Sarah Ashford's chest. Time stopped. Vera watched her mother fall, watched the blood spread across her shirt, watched the light fade from her eyes. "Mom?" The word came out small. Childlike. Her mother's lips moved. "Run," she whispered. "Run, little wolf." Then she was gone. Something inside Vera shattered. She felt it like a physical breaking, the spell that had bound her wolf for 24 years, suppressing her true nature, keeping her weak and small and powerless. It cracked. Splintered. Exploded. Power erupted out of her like a shockwave. Her eyes flashed, not just gold, but silver too. Silver and gold, swirling together, royal hybrid colors that lit up the cabin like a star. Her wolf surged forward, but it wasn't the weak, broken thing she'd lived with for years. This was something else. Something massive and ancient and absolutely furious. Vera shifted. It should have hurt. Should have been the awkward, painful process it had always been. Instead, it was smooth as silk, natural as breathing. One moment she was human, the next she was wolf. But not just any wolf. She was huge, bigger than any she-wolf had a right to be. Her fur was pure white, shimmering with both silver and gold undertones. And her eyes burned with power that made even Gregor stumble backward. Impossible, Colton breathed. Vera didn't think. Didn't plan. She just moved. She hit Gregor like a freight train, her jaws closing around his throat. He screamed, shifting, trying to fight back. But she was stronger. So much stronger than she'd ever imagined. She was going to kill him. Going to tear him apart for what he'd done. Vera. The Alpha command crashed over her like a tsunami. Not a request. Not even a typical command. This was absolute authority, the kind that reached into her soul and forced submission. Dragon. She released Gregor, who collapsed to the ground gasping and bleeding. She turned, still in wolf form, and saw Dragon standing in the doorway. His eyes were wide. Shocked. He was staring at her like he'd never seen anything like her before. Because he hadn't. No one had. She was a royal hybrid. The thing that wasn't supposed to exist. The thing that would get her killed. Vera shifted back to human, collapsing to her knees beside her mother's body. The rage drained out of her all at once, replaced by grief so profound she couldn't breathe. "She told me," Vera whispered. "She told me the truth, and they killed her. They killed her to keep it secret." Dragon moved into the cabin slowly, his eyes never leaving Vera. "What truth?" "That I'm not Omega. That I'm..." She looked up at him, and she saw her reflection in his eyes, saw the silver and gold still swirling there. "I'm like you. Royal blood. But my genes were suppressed when I was a baby. To hide me. To keep me safe from something called the culling." Dragon's expression went carefully blank. "The culling. You know about them?" "Yes." He crouched down beside her, his hand gentle on her shoulder. "They're zealots. Murderers. They've been hunting hybrid bloodlines for centuries." He looked at Gregor, who was trying to crawl away. "And your pack has been hiding you from them." "To protect me," my mother said. "But I think..." Vera looked at Gregor, at the fear in his eyes. "I think they were protecting themselves. Because if the culling came for me, they'd burn the whole pack. Probably. Dragon stood, hauling Vera up with him. But that doesn't matter now. What matters is getting you somewhere safe before. The window exploded inward. Fire. Actual fire, spreading across the cabin walls like it was alive. Too late, Colton rasped from where he stood by the door. They're already here. Outside, Vera heard screams. Smelled smoke. And underneath it all, she caught a scent that made her wolf snarl. Something wrong, something unnatural. The culling had come to Ashford Pack. And they'd come for her. Dragon grabbed her hand, his grip iron strong. We're leaving. Now. But the pack. The pack tried to keep you prisoner. Tried to hide what you are. His eyes flashed gold. Let them save themselves. He pulled her toward the door, but Vera looked back one last time at her mother's body. I'm sorry, she whispered. Then they were running, into the chaos, into the fire, into a future that had just become infinitely more dangerous. Because the Alpha King's mate wasn't just a rejected Omega. She was a royal hybrid, the rarest, most powerful bloodline in existence. And now everyone knew it. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 4. The Royal Pack territory wasn't just a territory. It was a kingdom. Vera pressed her face against the car window, watching as they passed through gates, actual iron gates with guards posted at attention. Beyond them, the road wound through forests that looked deliberately maintained, not wild. Manicured. Controlled. And then she saw it. The castle. That's not real, she breathed. Dragon, sitting beside her in the back of the black SUV, made a sound that might have been a laugh. Very real. Built in 1823 by my great-great-grandfather. He had extravagant tastes. Extravagant was an understatement. The building rose from the landscape like something out of a storybook, all stone towers and Gothic arches and windows that gleamed in the moonlight. It should have looked ridiculous. Instead, it looked powerful. Intimidating. Like the wolf who ruled from within it. I can't live there, Vera said. That's not. I don't belong in a place like that. You're my mate. Dragon's voice was quiet but firm. You belong wherever I am. The SUV pulled up to the main entrance, where a cluster of people, wolves, waited. At least 20 of them, all dressed in clothes that probably cost more than Vera had earned in her entire life. They watched the vehicle approach with expressions ranging from curiosity to outright hostility. Vera's wolf, still riding high from the awakening, growled low in her mind. Let them stare. We are royal. We belong here more than they do. That was the hybrid talking. The part of her that was just starting to understand what she truly was. The human part, the part that had spent 24 years being treated like trash, wanted to curl up and hide. I can't do this, she whispered. Dragon's hand found hers, his fingers intertwining with hers. Yes, you can. Just stay close to me. I won't let anyone hurt you. The door opened. A guard stood at attention, waiting. Dragon stepped out first, then turned back to help Vera. His hand was steady, warm. She took it and climbed out onto the stone driveway, her worn shoes looking pathetic against the pristine surface. The assembled wolves dropped into bows and curtsies immediately. All of them. Even the ones who'd been glaring. Your Majesty, they said in unison. Dragon kept hold of Vera's hand. This is Vera Ashford, he announced, his voice carrying across the courtyard. My true mate. Your future queen. You will treat her with the respect due to her station, or you will answer to me personally. The threat in those last words was unmistakable. A woman stepped forward from the group. She was tall, with dark skin and short-cropped hair, and she moved with a warrior's grace. Her eyes, pale gray, unusual for a wolf, fixed on Vera with an intensity that made her want to step back. "Your Majesty," the woman said, bowing to Dragon but keeping her gaze on Vera. "Welcome home. We were surprised by the news." "Kaelin." Dragon's tone was neutral. "This is my beta, Kaelin Frost." "Kaelin, my mate, Vera." Kaelin straightened, and her expression was carefully blank. "My lady. I hope your journey was comfortable." There was something in her voice. Not quite hostility, but definitely not warmth. Suspicion, maybe. Or assessment. "It was fine," Vera managed. Kaelin's eyes flicked down to Vera's hand, still clasped in Dragon's, then back up to her face. "If you'll excuse me, Your Majesty, the Royal Council has requested an immediate audience. They wish to discuss the situation." "The situation," Dragon repeated, his voice going cold. "You mean my mate?" "They mean no disrespect." Kaelin's tone suggested otherwise. "But finding your true mate after 7 years of searching is significant news. They simply wish to verify." "Verify what, exactly?" "That the bond is genuine. That she's suitable for the throne." Kaelin finally looked at Dragon. "You know how the council is. They'll want tests. Trials. Proof." Vera felt her stomach drop. "Tests. The royal trials," Kaelin explained, turning back to her. 3 challenges to prove a potential queen's worthiness. Strength, wisdom, and loyalty. It's tradition." "I don't want to be queen," Vera said before she could stop herself. "I don't want any of this." The assembled wolves erupted in whispers. Kaelin's eyebrows rose. Even Dragon looked surprised. "Excuse us," Dragon said sharply. He didn't wait for a response, just pulled Vera toward the castle entrance, leaving the crowd behind. They walked through corridors that seemed to go on forever, all stone and tapestries and suits of armor that Vera prayed were just decorative. Wolves bowed as they passed, their eyes tracking Vera with barely concealed curiosity. Finally, Dragon opened a door and pulled her into what looked like a private study. Books lined the walls, and a fire crackled in an enormous fireplace. He closed the door behind them and turned to face her. "You don't want to be queen," he said flatly. "No." Vera wrapped her arms around herself. "I don't want any of this. The castle, the titles, the tests. I don't want to be stared at and judged and tested like some prize mare. You're my mate." "I know." The words burst out of her. "I know, okay? My wolf knows. She's singing about it constantly. But my human side. Dragon, 2 days ago I was sleeping in a shack at the edge of Pack territory. I owned 3 shirts. 3. And now you're telling me I'm supposed to be queen of all wolves? It's insane." Dragon studied her for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, he sat down in one of the leather chairs by the fire and gestured to the other. "Sit. Please." Vera hesitated, then sat. The chair was ridiculously comfortable, which somehow made everything worse. "I've been searching for you for 7 years, Dragon said quietly. "Since I turned 25 and my wolf told me my mate existed somewhere in the world. 7 years of traveling to different packs, attending every gathering, every ceremony. The council wanted me to take a chosen mate, a political alliance. I refused. Why? Because I wanted my true mate. My real mate." He leaned forward, his eyes intense. "Do you know what that cost me? Politically, I mean. Every year without an heir, without a queen, makes me vulnerable. The council questions my judgment. Other packs see it as weakness. I've had 3 attempted coups in the last 5 years." Vera stared at him. 3. Being Alpha King isn't just about power, Vera. It's about perception. Stability. And an unmated king looks unstable. He ran a hand through his hair. "But I didn't care. Because my wolf insisted you were out there. That we had to wait. Had to keep looking. And then you found me. The broken Omega that nobody wanted. I found you, he agreed. The strongest she-wolf I've ever encountered, hidden under a suppression spell. My mate. My equal. Vera looked away, into the fire. I'm not equal to you. I don't know how to be a queen. I don't know politics or diplomacy or anything. I'll fail those trials. And then the council will reject me, and you'll be right back where you started. The trials can be passed. By someone who knows what they're doing. Not by me. She stood up, suddenly restless. Maybe you should let me go. Find someone suitable. Someone strong and smart and... No. Dragon was on his feet in an instant, crossing to her. Don't even suggest that. You're mine, Vera. I've waited 7 years for you. I'm not letting you go because you're scared. I'm not just scared. I'm realistic. I'll embarrass you. Weaken you. The council already hates me and I've been here less than an hour. The council will learn to respect you. Or they'll be replaced. His hand cupped her cheek, tilting her face up to his. Give me a chance. Give us a chance. Please. Vera's wolf was howling yes, drowning out every logical thought. But her human mind kept showing her images of her mother's body, Gregor's knife, the fire spreading through Ashford Pack. The culling came for me, she whispered. They'll come again. And next time, they'll come here. To the royal pack. They'll try to kill me, and anyone who gets in their way. Something shifted in Dragon's expression. Pain, old and deep. I know about the culling, he said quietly. More than you might think. What do you mean? He was quiet for a moment, staring into the fire. Then, my mother was a hybrid. Like you. Royal and common bloodlines mixed. My father loved her anyway, crowned her queen anyway. And when I was 10 years old, the culling came. They burned our summer residence to the ground. Killed her. Killed half the guards who tried to protect her. His voice went rough. My father never recovered. He died 5 years later, and I've always believed it was grief that killed him. Vera's breath caught. Dragon. When I caught your scent at the gathering, I knew immediately you were special. Before the mate bond even snapped, I knew. Because you smelled like her. Like my mother. That particular combination of power and wildness that only hybrids have. He looked at her, and his eyes were haunted. I recognized what you were before anyone else did. And I claimed you anyway. Because you need me. The words came out bitter. You need a hybrid queen to, what? Get revenge on the culling? Prove they couldn't break your family? I need you because you're my mate. His hand moved to her neck, his thumb tracing her pulse point. Everything else is secondary to that. Vera wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him so badly. But years of rejection, of being used and discarded, had taught her to be suspicious of anything that seemed too good to be true. I need some air, she said, pulling away from his touch. I need to think. Dragon looked like he wanted to argue, but he just nodded. I'll have someone show you to your rooms. You can have the night to yourself. But Vera? He waited until she looked at him. Tomorrow, the council will demand an audience. You don't have to decide about the trials tonight, but you will have to face them eventually. I know. He called for a servant, an older woman with kind eyes who introduced herself as Marion. She led Vera through more winding corridors to a suite of rooms that were bigger than her entire cabin had been. His Majesty's chambers are just through that door, Marion said, gesturing to a connecting door. If you need anything at all, just ring. She pointed to a bell pull. I'll have dinner sent up. You must be exhausted. Exhausted didn't begin to cover it. Vera thanked her and waited until she was alone before collapsing onto the enormous four-poster bed. A queen. They wanted her to be a queen. It was absurd. Impossible. She couldn't do it. Couldn't pass their tests, couldn't live up to their expectations, couldn't. Her wolf snarled in her mind. We are royal. We do not bow. We do not break. We are strong. We were suppressed for 24 years, Vera muttered. We don't know what we are. Then we learn. With our mate. Together. The mate bond pulled at her, urging her toward that connecting door. Toward Dragon. Her wolf wanted to be near him, to feel safe in his presence. But Vera's human mind kept circling back to what he'd said. I recognized what you were before the mate bond snapped. Had he claimed her because of the bond? Or because she was a hybrid? Because she was a weapon he could use against the culling? A soft knock on the door made her jump. Come in, she called, expecting Marion with dinner. Instead, a young wolf entered, male, maybe 20, with nervous eyes. He bowed quickly. My lady. I was asked to deliver this to you. He held out a folded piece of paper. By who? I don't know, my lady. It was left at the servant's entrance with instructions to bring it to you immediately. He set it on the table by the door and fled before she could ask anything else. Vera stared at the paper like it might bite her. Then, slowly, she crossed the room and picked it up. The note inside was written in elegant script. He knows what you are. He's been collecting information on hybrids for years, trying to find a way to destroy the culling. You're not his mate, you're his weapon. A tool to use and discard when the war is over. Run while you still can. There was no signature. Vera read it 3 times, her hands shaking. Then she crumpled it into a ball and threw it across the room. It didn't matter. The damage was done. The seed of doubt had been planted. She stood there for a long moment, staring at that connecting door. Then she made a decision. She crossed to it and threw it open. Dragon was sitting at a desk, reviewing what looked like official documents. He looked up in surprise as she stormed in. Is it true? She demanded. He stood slowly. Is what true? Have you been collecting information on hybrids? Are you planning to use me as a weapon against the culling? His expression went carefully neutral. Who told you that? Answer the question. Yes. The word was quiet but firm. I've been researching hybrids for years. Trying to understand what my mother was, trying to find others like her. Trying to find a way to stop the culling from murdering anyone else. Vera felt something crack inside her chest. So I'm just a tool to you. A weapon you can point at your enemies. No. He moved toward her, but she backed up. Vera, listen to me. You don't deny you need my power. That you need what I am. I don't deny it, he said. Yes, your bloodline makes you powerful. Yes, that power could be useful against the culling. But that's not why I claimed you. That's not why my wolf recognized you as my mate. Then why? Why me, Dragon? Out of every wolf in every pack, why would fate give you exactly what you need politically? A hybrid mate who can help you destroy your parents' killers? That's not coincidence. That's not fate. That's too convenient. It's fate. His voice rose, frustration bleeding through. I didn't choose to have a hybrid mother. I didn't choose to have the culling burn her alive. And I didn't choose for my mate to be exactly what I need to finally make them pay for what they did. But that's what happened. That's what fate gave us. Us, Vera repeated. There is no us. There's you and your revenge and me as the convenient tool to help you get it. That's not fair. Fair? She laughed, and it came out harsh. You want to talk about fair? Nothing about this is fair, Dragon. I've spent my entire life being used by people. Used as a scapegoat, a servant, a punching bag. And now I'm supposed to just trust that you're different? That you actually want me for me and not for what I can do for you? Yes. He crossed to her in 2 strides, grabbing her shoulders. Yes, that's exactly what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to trust your mate. Trust the bond. Trust that what I feel for you is real. I don't know how to trust that, she whispered. I don't know how to trust anything anymore. His expression softened, and he pulled her against his chest. She should have fought it. Should have pulled away. But she was so tired, and he was so warm, and her wolf was practically purring at the contact. The mate bond is real, he said quietly, his lips against her hair. What I feel for you is real. Yes, I need your strength. Yes, I want to use it to destroy the culling. But I need you more. Just you. The woman who asked me to spare Marcus's life. The woman who grieved for a mother who failed her. The woman who's terrified of being queen but trying anyway. Vera's eyes burned with tears she refused to shed. How do I know you're telling the truth? Because I'm going to prove it to you. Every day, for the rest of our lives if necessary. He pulled back enough to look at her face. I'll give you time. Space. Whatever you need. But I'm not letting you run, Vera. We're going to face the council together. Face the trials together. Face the culling together. And if I fail the trials? Then we'll deal with that together too. His thumb wiped away a tear she hadn't realized had fallen. You're not alone anymore. You have me. You have my pack. You have a power inside you that's just waking up. Give it a chance. Give us a chance. Vera looked up at him, at those amber eyes that had first captured her attention in that clearing. Her wolf was certain. The bond was certain. But her human heart was still scared. I don't want to be a weapon, she whispered. You're not a weapon. You're my queen. He kissed her forehead gently. And tomorrow, we'll prove it to everyone else. Vera nodded slowly, not entirely convinced but too exhausted to argue anymore. Dragan walked her back to her rooms, made sure she had everything she needed, then left her alone. She climbed into that enormous bed and stared at the ceiling, her mind racing. Tomorrow, she'd face the royal council. Tomorrow, she'd have to decide whether to attempt the trials or run. Tomorrow, she'd start learning what it meant to be a queen. But tonight, she was just Vera. Scared, confused, grieving Vera. And she had no idea if she was strong enough for any of this. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 5. Vera stood before the royal council, her spine straight, her chin lifted. She'd spent the night wrestling with doubt and fear, but somewhere around dawn, she'd made her decision. She was done running. Done hiding. Done letting other people define what she was worth. I'll do the trials, she announced, her voice carrying across the council chamber. The 12 council members, 6 men, 6 women, all ancient and powerful, exchanged glances. Elder Morrigan, a woman with hair like silver frost, leaned forward in her high-backed chair. You understand what the trials entail? The danger involved? I understand that you need proof I'm worthy of being queen, Vera said. So I'll give you that proof. Dragan, standing beside her, radiated pride through the mate bond. He hadn't pushed her toward this decision, had even offered alternatives. But she could feel his satisfaction now, his wolf rising to meet hers. Very well, Elder Thorn said from the opposite end of the table. He was the oldest, his face carved with lines that spoke of centuries. The first trial begins at noon. The trial of strength. You will face 3 of our strongest warriors in combat. You must defeat at least 2 to pass. 3 against 1? Vera's wolf bristled. The queen must be able to protect herself and her people, Elder Morrigan said coolly. If you cannot handle 3 warriors, how will you handle an army? Fair point, even if Vera hated it. I'll be ready, she said. The arena was carved into the mountainside behind the castle, a natural amphitheater of stone and earth. Hundreds of wolves had gathered to watch, packing the tiered seating until there was barely room to breathe. Vera stood in the center of the fighting circle, trying not to let the crowd's scrutiny shake her. "We are strong," her wolf reminded her. "We are royal. We do not fear." 3 warriors entered the circle from the opposite side. 2 men, 1 woman. All of them built like tanks, all of them wearing expressions that said they wouldn't go easy on her just because she was the king's mate. The trial begins on Elder Thorn's signal, a referee called out. Combat continues until one opponent yields, is incapacitated, or leaves the circle. Killing blows are forbidden. Small comfort. Vera took a breath and let her wolf rise to the surface. The shift came easier than it ever had, smooth, natural, powerful. But as her bones reformed and her fur emerged, she heard the collective gasp from the crowd. Her wolf was silver. Pure, gleaming silver, like moonlight given form. And her eyes burned gold, bright as the sun. Royal hybrid colors. Undeniable. Unmistakable. Even the 3 warriors facing her looked shaken. Elder Thorn's voice boomed across the arena, "Begin." The first warrior shifted and lunged immediately, a massive gray wolf with teeth like daggers. Vera dodged, her new body responding with speed she'd never possessed before. The suppression spell was completely broken now, and she was finally feeling what she truly was. Fast. Strong. Deadly. The second warrior came from her left, trying to flank her. Vera spun, her jaws snapping, catching his shoulder and throwing him aside like he weighed nothing. He hit the ground hard, stunned. The female warrior was smarter. She circled, waiting, looking for an opening. The gray wolf recovered and attacked again, this time coordinating with her. They came at Vera from 2 sides simultaneously. But Vera's hybrid instincts kicked in, instincts she didn't even know she had. She dropped low, letting them collide above her, then surged upward, her full power behind the movement. She caught the gray wolf under the jaw, lifting him off his feet, then slammed him into the female warrior. Both went down in a tangle of fur and yelps. The third warrior, the one she'd thrown earlier, climbed to his feet. He looked at his fallen companions, then at Vera's silver wolf, and very deliberately stepped out of the circle. Yield. The crowd erupted. Some cheering, some shouting protests, all of them in shock. Vera shifted back to human form, breathing hard but standing tall. Elder Morrigan stood from her seat in the royal box, her expression unreadable. "The trial of strength is complete," she announced. "Vera Ashford has passed." The council chamber afterward was chaos. "She's too powerful," one elder shouted. "That kind of strength in a hybrid, it's exactly what the culling warns against." "The culling are murderers and fanatics," another countered. "We don't base our decisions on their propaganda. She defeated 3 of our best warriors without even being fully trained." "Exactly. Imagine what she'll be capable of when she is trained. She'll make us stronger. Safer. Or she'll make us a target." Vera sat beside Dragon, trying not to show how much their arguing rattled her. Dragon's hand found hers under the table, his grip steady. "They're afraid," he sent through the mate bond. "Fear makes people irrational. Should I be worried? Not while I'm breathing." Elder Morrigan finally slammed her staff against the stone floor, the sound echoing like thunder. "Enough. The trial was passed fairly. The law is clear," she proceeds to the second trial tomorrow. "And if she passes that? And the third?" Elder Thorn demanded. "We'll be crowning a queen who could destroy us all with a thought. Or a queen who could protect us from those who would destroy us," Dragon said, his voice cutting through the noise. "My mother was a hybrid. She never hurt anyone. Never abused her power. She was murdered for existing, and you all stood by and let it happen." The room went silent. "I was 10 years old when the culling burned her alive," Dragon continued, his voice hard as iron. "And now I've found my mate, who happens to be hybrid, and you want me to reject her because you're afraid?" I won't. I refuse. If the council tries to force this, tries to exile or harm her, you'll have civil war on your hands. The elders shifted uncomfortably. It wasn't an idle threat. Dragon was the Alpha King, half the packs in the territory owed him personal loyalty. Tomorrow, Elder Morrigan said finally. The trial of wisdom. We'll reconvene then. The attack came at midnight. Vera was in her rooms, reviewing notes on the trial of wisdom with Marion's help, when the alarms started screaming. Not regular alarms, these were wolf howls, dozens of them, raised in warning. The castle shuddered as something exploded outside. Dragon burst through the connecting door already half-shifted, his eyes pure gold. The culling. They're here. Attacking the main gates. Vera's blood turned to ice. How did they find me so fast? Someone told them. His voice was a growl. Someone inside the pack. Another explosion, closer this time. Vera heard screams, the sounds of fighting. Stay here, Dragon ordered. The guards will. No. Vera was already moving, already letting her wolf rise. I'm not hiding while people die for me. Vera. I said no. She shifted, her silver wolf emerging in a burst of power. We fight. Together. Dragon stared at her for a heartbeat, then nodded sharply. He shifted too, his wolf was enormous, midnight black with those burning amber eyes. An Alpha King in truth. They ran through the castle together, following the sounds of battle. Wolves poured through the corridors with them, guards, warriors, anyone strong enough to fight. Outside was carnage. The culling had brought an army. 50 wolves at least, all wearing strange collars that glowed with runes. Dark magic. The kind that suppressed healing and enhanced violence. And at their head stood a figure in a hooded robe, carrying a staff that crackled with power. The hybrid, the figure shouted, pointing directly at Vera. Take her alive. Kill anyone who interferes. The battle exploded. Vera fought like she'd been born to it, her hybrid strength making her devastating. She tore through culling soldiers, her silver fur streaked with blood that wasn't hers. Beside her, Dragon was equally brutal, his alpha power radiating outward, bolstering his wolves and terrifying their enemies. Together, they were unstoppable. This is what we are, her wolf sang. This is our purpose. To protect. To fight. To lead. But there were so many of them. Too many. A culling soldier broke through the line, heading straight for Vera's exposed flank. She turned, but too slow. And then Kaelin was there. Dragon's beta appeared out of nowhere, her wolf form a blur of brown and gray. She intercepted the soldier, her jaws closing around his throat. Thank you, Vera sent. But Kaelin didn't respond. She just stared at Vera with those pale gray eyes, and something in her expression made Vera's stomach drop. Then Kaelin shifted to human form in the middle of the battlefield, dangerous, vulnerable, and pulled a silver blade from her belt. I'm sorry, Kaelin said. But it has to be this way. She lunged. Not at the culling soldiers. At Vera. Time seemed to slow. Vera saw the blade coming, saw the killing intent in Kaelin's eyes. Saw Dragon's massive black wolf turning, too far away to intercept. Then someone else crashed into Kaelin from the side. Marcus. Marcus, in wolf form, his russet fur matted with blood and dirt. He'd followed them. Somehow, he'd tracked them to the royal pack. He and Kaelin went down in a tangle. The silver blade flashed. And buried itself in Marcus's chest. No. Vera shifted back to human, dropping to her knees beside him. Kaelin scrambled backward, the blade still in her hand, her face twisted with fury. You ruined everything. They promised me. The culling promised if I gave them the hybrid, they'd make me queen. They'd kill all the hybrids and restore proper order. Your family, Dragon snarled, stalking toward her. The culling told you a hybrid killed them. One did. A hybrid went mad, lost control of their power. Slaughtered my entire family when I was 16. Kaelin's voice cracked. And now you bring another one here? Expect us to crown her queen? She'll destroy us all eventually. They all do. It's in their nature. My mother never hurt anyone, Dragon said quietly. Dangerously. Neither has Vera. Yet. Kaelin backed toward the culling soldiers, who'd formed a protective circle around her. But she will. When the power consumes her, when she loses control, she'll kill everyone you love. I'm saving you from that fate. Marcus made a choking sound. Vera looked down, cradling his head in her lap. The blade had pierced his lung, a fatal wound even for a wolf. Why? She whispered. Why did you save me? Marcus shifted back to human, gasping. Blood bubbled at his lips. Because. I rejected you, because Alpha Silas ordered it. Said you were dangerous. Had to keep you, broken. Had to. He coughed, more blood. I'm sorry, Vera. You deserved better. Deserved everything. Marcus, don't. Stay with me. We can get a healer. Too late. His hand found hers, squeezed weakly. Be the queen they need. That I couldn't see. His hand went limp. Vera felt something inside her shatter. Not love, she'd never loved Marcus. But grief for what could have been. Rage at what had been stolen from her. From him. From all of them. The power exploded out of her. It wasn't like when her wolf had awakened. This was something else. Something primal and ancient and absolutely devastating. Silver and gold light erupted from her body, rolling outward in a massive wave. Every culling soldier it touched simply disintegrated. Turned to ash. Gone. The hooded leader tried to raise a shield, but Vera's power tore through it like paper. The figure fell, their hood falling back to reveal a scarred face twisted in terror. Please, they started. Vera felt no mercy. The power pulsed again, and they were gone too. Kaelin screamed, trying to run. But there was nowhere to go. Nowhere to hide from this. Vera. Dragon's voice cut through the rage. Stop. You'll kill yourself. He was right. She could feel it, the power was burning through her, consuming her from the inside. She was going to die. Going to burn herself out completely. But she couldn't stop. Couldn't control it. Then Dragon was there, his arms around her, his voice in her ear. I've got you. I'm here. You're safe. You can let go now. I can't, she gasped. Too much. Can't control. Then let me help. His teeth grazed her neck, right over her pulse point. Let me complete the bond. Anchor you. Dragon. Trust me. His teeth sank in. The mate mark. The permanent claiming. The bond that would tie them together for the rest of their lives. Vera felt it snap into place like a lock turning. Felt Dragon's strength flowing into her, helping her contain the power, helping her pull it back under control. The silver gold light faded. Vera sagged against him, completely drained. The battlefield was silent. Every culling soldier was gone, just ash on the wind. Kaelin had fled, disappearing into the chaos. And the royal pack wolves stood staring at Vera like she was something out of legend. Dragon lifted her into his arms, cradling her against his chest. His voice rang out across the battlefield, strong and absolute. This is Vera Ashford, my mate. Your queen. Anyone who challenges her answers to me. Anyone who threatens her dies. We are done with trials. Done with tests. She has proven herself beyond doubt. The wolves dropped to their knees. Every single one. Even the elders who'd argued against her. My queen, they murmured. Vera tried to speak, to object, to say she hadn't passed all the trials yet. But exhaustion pulled at her, dragging her down into darkness. The last thing she felt was Dragon's lips against her forehead. Sleep, my queen. I've got you. The vision came as she collapsed into unconsciousness. She saw a dark place. Underground. Cells carved from stone and reinforced with silver. And in those cells, wolves. Dozens of them. All of them with silver or gold or mixed fur. All of them hybrid. The culling wasn't just killing hybrids. They were capturing them. Holding them prisoner. And in the farthest cell, she saw a male wolf. Old, scarred, dying. But his eyes were silver and gold, just like hers. He looked up, as if he could feel her watching. And his lips moved, forming words she couldn't hear but somehow understood. Daughter. Find me. Before it's too late. Her father. Her real father. The royal whose bloodline made her what she was. He wasn't dead. He was alive. And the culling had him. Vera's eyes snapped open as Dragon carried her into the castle. She grabbed his arm, her voice hoarse. There are more. More hybrids. The culling has them. We have to. Later, Dragon said firmly. First you rest. Then we plan. I promise you, Vera, we'll find them. We'll save them. Together. She wanted to argue. Wanted to turn around and hunt for those prisoners right now. But her body wouldn't cooperate, and consciousness was slipping away again. Together, she whispered. And then there was only darkness, and dreams of silver eyes that looked like her own. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like and share this video to continue listening to this type of story daily and also, to appreciate this community too. I would like to hear your wonderful opinion about this story. Please comment below.